We're here with a weekly Griz Volleyball press conference. Head coach Allison Lawrence and libero Alexis Batesel with us today. Coach, we'll start with you. 5 wins in the non-conference. You have a 2-1 weekend down in Kansas City. Just starting with, it's the 3rd time in 4 years and the 4th time overall under you. You've had at least 5 non-conference wins. Can you talk about the preseason and kind of what those numbers mean to you?
Yeah, I think there's been a colossal effort by me, our staff, our players to have that be our norm. I look at that this year and go, okay, on paper, there's definitely more wins in our record that we wanted, and we feel like we came up short in ways that I like. I like that we're aggressive. I like where we're scheduling. I really loved, I think this was my favorite preseason schedule in terms of quality of opponent, the consistency of the quality of opponent, all those things. So the fact that we got 5 and that is a standout stat line for the last however many years, I think is a good thing. That being said, we want that norm to take another, to turn another corner. So I think it speaks to how hard it is to win in the preseason, and how hard it is to get wins without traveling a far ways. And so I think you saw that this last weekend where we went to a tournament where we felt like on paper we were contenders to win it, and for sure were, and then played 3 matches in 24 hours. So that's just an obstacle that you're going to have when, if you need wins, you got to go far places to get them. You can't stay in the West really, and in a lot of ways. And so, then those obstacles come to the forefront. You try to manage them as they come up. But really happy, and just really happy.
And Lexi, you were named to the all-tournament team following the 2-1 weekend. Can you kind of talk about, the success of the day and how challenging it was to play 3 matches in such a tight succession?
Yeah, I think I don't know, it was a really good experience for us to have. I think it showed us that we can persevere through a lot of fatigue, and I don't know, I think it was just necessary heading into conference. And then I think on my end, my success came from what my team did for me. Our blockers were able to put me in a position to go make a play, and whatever I did on my side of the ball, it wasn't perfect, and my teammates bettered it after me, and that's when we were able to capitalize on just getting the ball up or moments like that that could spark us into transition. So I think it was an overall team effort.
Coach, non-conference play is over. You got Northern Colorado coming up, Big Sky play coming up. Just how you feeling about the team overall, strengths, weaknesses, as you've seen plenty of tape at this point?
Yeah, I think when we are in rhythm, we are really offensively sound. We are also really defensively sound. So when we're executing our system consistently, aggressively, I think this team has to be there's a certain physicality we have to get into, and that comes from work ethic and attitude when we play. And if we get into that space, we are a formidable opponent against anyone, especially defensively. Our block is huge. Our block is fast. And we have blockers who are old, which helps because when you're old, you have really fast eyes. So I think those things lead to great performances by our libero, by our first contact on defense. And so that, I think that is an element we haven't had consistently in past years, which is really exciting. And you go into a match against UNC that every year after year their offensive numbers are insane, and they're beating incredible teams this year and had a really amazing preseason. So we're going to need those pieces, and then we head back on the road against Portland State into a gym that I think is notorious for being hard to play in, and we got to love that. So I think being on the road and being all over the place has really set us up to be able, like Lexi said, to kind of grit out tough wins and put ourselves in position to win matches when there's some things stacked against us. So I'm excited to see how we'll respond this weekend.
Call this a silly question if it is one, but when it comes to Big Sky play, conference play in the sport of volleyball, does it have its own unique feel compared to playing, non-conference opponents?
Yeah, There's no silly questions, first of all. Let's address that. But I think the Big Sky, what I really love about it is I think across the board, teams are really well coached and prepared in ways where there's just a lot of tactical decisions that happen and tactical adjustments that happen in matches where we're not just relying on one or two big stars on a team to get teams in and out of good and bad situations. It's really tactically sound and a full team effort. I also love how skilled the Big Sky is. I think we don't always have players that are touching 10-6 and physical. Like, there's definitely physical teams. I don't mean that. I don't think it's an undersized conference by any means, but ball control is at a really elite level. The setting is at a really elite level. I think there's speed and skill factors that make the volleyball really exciting. So it is very difficult to go in and just, I don't know, like, show up in one area of your game and win. I think you've got to bring your game on all fronts and then be able to adjust in matches really well and really smartly, if that's a word. It's a silly question. So, yeah.
Lexi, just kind of a similar question. Just how would you kind of evaluate the team in non-conference play and just how it went? You know, getting the 5 wins, 2-1 to kind of close it out down in Kansas City as well.
Yeah, I think we're in a really good place right now for conference. I think, especially in this last tournament, like, we really got to see what we can do through fatigue and through pressure. And I don't know, we really rallied in some tough moments. We won ugly plays. We pushed ourselves to see what we can do because, I don't know, you never know until you go. So everyone was really playing both sides of the ball well and making risk and taking aggressive swings. And I think those are all things that we need to take into conference that will make us really big contenders for this conference.
Allison, when you have kind of this like core contingent of like experienced players, how just key is that when you head into conference play where there's familiarity with the teams, you know, your players are kind of used to conference play, like how big is that maybe you see for this year's team? Because it just seems there's that big core as opposed to maybe some years past.
Yeah, I think what you get when you have experience is players who know how to prepare, and I think preparation leads to the most consistent performances, and that's what makes this group so fun to go into the arena with. Is we have a scout that we can be detailed with, we have a scout that we can nail in the first set and then deviate from and adjust from in subsequent sets. And then I think there's just a real ownership from our players. I think that's a big part in our program is autonomy from coaches. That's what we want. And so there's a big ownership on the part of our players to own the scout and to own our tactics and to know what the heck's going on. And I think they do a great job in that and really take ownership of our game plan. So I think smart women have more fun, and I think I love just going. It's so fun to like play games with them when they know exactly what we want to do and can execute it and really take ownership of that.
Kind of throughout these, we've talked about team building and, you know, getting that connection together with the new people coming in and things like that. Coming off these non-conference games, how do you think that connection has built going into this conference play coming up?
Yeah, me?
Yeah, both y'all.
Okay.
Both y'all.
Go ahead.
I think it shows that how I feel about it shows that piece has happened, that in terms of our kind of becoming unified, just because I don't even think of this team anymore as new. It's just, this is the team that's always been this team. It's just, I don't know, we feel unified, we feel ready to go. I think now that we've gone through preseason and our roles are more clearly defined and we've got a little bit in a better rhythm with that, it just feels very solid. So I think anytime you're on the road a lot too, you bond, you get to know each other, you go through thick and thin, kind of away from your comforts of home, and I think it's made us really strong together. So I'm excited, and I think we're as strong as we possibly could be right now coming out of preseason.
Yeah, I agree. And to go off of that, I just feel like we're super cohesive right now, and on the court, I don't know, there's just like a known feeling that we're going to go out and do what we're set out to do, and we're celebrating in the really high moments, and when something doesn't go our way, we look at each other and we realize that's only worth one, and then we go back and do what we needed to do. And then I don't know, like she said, it doesn't feel like there's new players and old players or transfers. It just feels like one. And this past week at practice, I don't know, everyone kind of just accepted the role that they had and really stepped it up a bunch of notches to like apply pressure on the A side, and the B side really pushed us this week, and I think that's why we were able to do some really good things this weekend.
Coach, I know we talked about it already, but Paige Clark was named the Big Sky Conference Player of the Week earlier today. What can you say about her game and kind of the impact that she has, and how cool it is? She's now one of 3 players in program history to win it 4 times, so a pretty special honor.
It's incredible, and I think if you had met Paige when I met her in the recruiting process, you would have said to yourself, yep, that is going to happen. She's just a person that when she competes and when she sets out to do something, it gets done. And just one of those competitors that you really see the joy they have in competing. That part is contagious and that part is unwavering, and I think when you have that element of joy in your game, you reach levels that other players don't, and you get the most out of yourself. So I can't say enough about Paige, and her efforts this weekend were outstanding. Like Lexi said, there were so many long rallies, ugly rallies, big battles, and she was always the one ready to step up and end play, and end play again and again. Sometimes the 5th point in a row, it's her arm that's ending play. Then she goes back to serve, runs points as a server. And so I think she just had a point scorer mentality, a playmaker mentality, and we really relied on that this weekend when fatigue was an issue, and just navigating a tournament field was an issue. Not an issue, but an obstacle. So, yeah, she's the best. Love her.
Me too.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody.